In a small, sleepy town called Willow Grove, there lived a little girl named Mila. From the day she was born, it was clear Mila was no ordinary child. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Greaves, were far from extraordinary themselves. Mr. Greaves sold used cars and loved nothing more than boasting about his profits, while Mrs. Greaves spent her days gossiping and watching soap operas. Neither paid much attention to their daughter. By the time Mila was 3, she had taught herself to read by studying old newspapers her father left lying around. By 4, she had devoured every book in the house, from dusty encyclopedias to romance novels she could barely understand. By 5, she was walking to the local library by herself, where she would sit for hours, losing herself in worlds far beyond her own. The librarian, a kind woman named Ms. Everleigh, was the first to notice Mila's brilliance. "Mila, sweetheart, you're reading at a level far beyond your age," she said one day, watching the child flip through a thick volume of poetry. "Have you ever thought about going to a special school for gifted children?" Mila shook her head. "My parents wouldn't care about that," she replied matter-of-factly. "They think I'm weird for reading so much." Ms. Everleigh's heart ached for the little girl. She decided then and there to do whatever she could to nurture Mila's incredible mind. The Greaves household was not a pleasant place for a child like Mila. Her father dismissed her intelligence as useless book smarts, often telling her to stop wasting time on words and learn something practical, like fixing cars. Her mother was no better, frequently scolding Mila for showing off. Mila spent most of her time alone in her tiny bedroom, surrounded by stacks of library books. She didn't mind being alone. In fact, she preferred it. Her parents' loud arguments and constant television noise made her retreat into her imagination, where she dreamed of faraway lands and heroic adventures. But Mila wasn't just smart. She was special in another way, a way even she didn't yet understand. Strange things happened when Mila felt strong emotions. Once, when her father snatched a book from her hands and told her to do the dishes instead, the plate he was holding suddenly cracked in half. Another time, when her mother yelled at her for reading too much, a gust of wind burst through the closed window, scattering papers everywhere. Mila had no explanation for these events, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something inside her was waiting to be discovered. When Mila turned 6, her parents enrolled her in Cragthorne Elementary, a school known not for academic excellence, but for its terrifying headmistress, Ms. Grimstone. A towering woman with a permanent scowl and a voice like thunder, Ms. Grimstone ruled the school with an iron fist. She delighted in punishing students for the smallest infractions. From the moment Mila set foot in Cragthorne, she knew she was in for a difficult time. Ms. Grimstone seemed to single her out almost immediately. "What's this?" the headmistress barked on Mila's first day, snatching a book from her hands. "Advanced physics for beginners? What nonsense! 6-year-olds should be learning their ABCs, not pretending to be scientists." Mila stared at the ground, her cheeks burning. "I've already learned my ABCs," she muttered. "Don't talk back to me," Ms. Grimstone roared. "Detention, first thing tomorrow morning." Despite the harsh treatment, Mila refused to let Ms. Grimstone break her spirit. She found solace in her kind and gentle teacher, Miss Honeywell, who noticed Mila's intelligence and encouraged her to keep learning. "You're a very special girl, Mila," Miss Honeywell said one afternoon. "Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." One day, during a particularly awful math lesson, Ms. Grimstone accused Mila of cheating. "No child solves equations that quickly without copying answers," she sneered. "Confess, or you'll spend the entire week cleaning the lunchroom." Mila clenched her fists, her frustration boiling over. Suddenly, the chalk Miss Grimstone was holding flew out of her hand and scribbled across the blackboard, "Mila does not cheat." The entire class gasped. Ms. Grimstone's face turned beet red. "Who did that?" she bellowed. But Mila knew. For the first time, she realized the strange occurrences weren't accidents. She had done it. She had powers, real, undeniable powers. Over the next few weeks, Mila practiced using her abilities in secret. She discovered she could move objects with her mind, make lights flicker, and even create small gusts of wind. The more she practiced, the stronger she became. When Mila saw Ms. Grimstone unfairly punishing other students, she decided it was time to act. She began using her powers to play small pranks on the headmistress. Chairs slid out from under her coffee cup spilled on its own, and her office door mysteriously locked itself whenever she tried to enter. The students, who had always feared Ms. Grimstone, began to laugh and whisper that the school was haunted. Ms. Grimstone's grip on the school began to loosen. For the first time, the students felt free to be themselves. Mila, though still quiet and reserved, became a hero in their eyes. Eventually, Ms. Grimstone resigned, unable to handle the strange events that had turned her reign of terror into chaos. Miss Honeywell was promoted to headmistress. Under her kind leadership, Cragthorne Elementary became a place of learning and joy. As for Mila, she continued to nurture her incredible mind and her newfound powers.